Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm clearly audible, right? So, my name is Debarati, and I work as the Chief Product Officer at Futurance Technologies. We are an analytics and tech-driven talent organization, and we build and provide talent to our partner organizations in data-driven job roles and new age technology areas for a lot of top tech organizations. And as for myself, I have worked in the domain of learning and building technology for more than about a decade now, specifically for new age technology talent. First of all, I should say that it's an honor to be here today, and I've been quite amazed at the amount of diverse perspectives and insights and intellect that we have experienced over the past 2 days. And I really congratulate the organizers for curating such an engaging event. So in my session, I'm going to address the talent problem that I think has come up again and again in a lot of the sessions that I have heard so far. And I'm going to talk today about how we can solve the talent problem by using diversity as a core strategy for building competitive talent on demand, which basically means having access to a larger scalable pool of talent, best-in-class talent, as and when needed, tailored for the kind of projects and solutions that the organizations are looking for building. And I'm talking about talent who can actually solve complex problems as and when needed by the business on demand, as opposed to the constant talent crunch that we hear about, which is, I think, one of the key issues that organizations globally are facing today. And honestly, my premise is going to be, unless we are looking at using diversity as a core element of our talent building strategy for building competitive talent, not just using diversity as a charity, but building competitive and best-in-class talent, we'll never be able to really scale our businesses at the rate at which the industry demands. So if I move forward, if we think about the business landscape today, we are, I think, in the midst of some of the most exceptionally interesting times, because businesses are constantly being pushed to reinvent the way in which they are serving their customers, or the way in which they make use of intelligence and innovation, and the way in which they are building their products and monetizing their products and services today. And if you add to that, there are these very interesting dynamics around geopolitics globally, in how the workforce is shaping up differently these days, and also in increasingly important concerns around sustainability, environment concerns, etc. So all in all, we can say that it's a very complex business landscape today. And at the heart of all of these lies the immensely rapidly evolving technology so far, the technology landscape. So we hear about issues cropping around cybersecurity every day, and the enhanced data-driven capabilities that are provided by 5G, for example, in the future, and the large-scale adoption of AI and algorithms that are really transforming the realm of decision-making today across domains, and are also helping unleashing new products and services, right? So the kind of disruptions that we are seeing, that those are quite innumerable. But new and emerging technologies are not really always easy to understand and leverage effectively to build new products and services. And understandably, I think one of the key roadblocks to using new and emerging technologies successfully and rapidly within organizations has been the huge talent grab. And I think there are not just enough number of people who are conversant with new technologies today. And currently, if you look at India alone, I think the statistics says that in case of AI, cybersecurity, and blockchain together, there are about 2 million job roles which are going to be unfulfilled by the end of 2023, in spite of the job landscape that is there today. So if you come to think of it, we have abundant statistics that actually indicate that tech companies across all levels hire only a particular kind of profile, and they actually promote a particular kind of profile, and the same profile you see across the board, and across the leadership teams as well. And even the hiring process, honestly, is skewed towards screening people in a certain way. And as a result, there is definitely a huge lack of diversity. So if you look at it, there are these two buckets of data points, right? There is the huge talent gap that we experience every day, and then there is an inability to kind of embrace diverse talent. And if you think about it, one issue kind of leads to the other in some way. And if we are all fighting for the same talent continuously, and that too if it's the ready talent, then we are really creating scarcity right there. So in the next few slides, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to showcase a solution for both. How do we build competitive talent at scale, and then how do we use diversity as a strategy to do this effectively? But now, so when we talk about diversity and inclusivity, really, these are not just, about putting ticks in the boxes. They are real issues, and as we learned throughout a number of sessions today and yesterday as well, diversity plays a really critical role in improving the quality of products and in bringing about innovation and a sense of belongingness. It helps improve productivity and efficiency, and in a lot of cases, it actually has been proved to improve profitability within organizations as well, right? So there are way too many studies that show that teams which are diverse are usually 41% more successful than the other teams. On the other hand, as I mentioned before, time and time again, we have seen that there are very specific profiles or pedigrees of people who are shortlisted or promoted within organization, specifically for technology job roles. And honestly, we understand why that is the case. Because technology is changing at a very rapid and, rapid pace. And it's really difficult for people to kind of leverage technology, use technology, and make some potential use for organizations for it, and convert this technology into potential opportunities probably. And therefore, organizations obviously would be placing their bets on people who they know are deeply conversant with this technology. And better still, they know what is the, how to build something out of the new technology that are coming out of it. But given the rate at which technology is changing, this approach is only making the talent sourcing pool smaller and smaller. And within that, as we see, there is a sharp drop in terms of women and other diverse population. And with those drop, the amount of talent that we have is really, really, less at that point. Now, if I consider my, almost 2 decades of observing how people learn and how people perform, the best performers, the best performance do not always come from the knowledge of technology really. Technology learning, if you look at it, is really easy. The best leaders are those who can actually learn and adapt fast, and they can connect discrete dots of information, and they know how to solve complex problems, and then they can also know how to manage their stakeholders in the best possible manner. So just looking at tech pedigree is not enough, and we all know that, the people with the best CGPAs in tech schools did not necessarily make the best tech leaders or the best tech innovators, right? So how do we then, solve this problem and build a scalable way, find out a scalable way to build competitive talent and great performers for emerging technologies? So while working at Futurance, we came up with a model that helped us to address this issue with great results, and it really involved 2 core things. We need to hire people for their potential rather than what they can do today. And once we hire them and we place a bet on them, we need to ensure that we are nurturing them and mentoring them and upskilling them continuously for a long period of time, so that we can, we are able to build a talent pool that is scalable and that evolves into becoming the leaders of the future, right? So this is how we can create a talent pool for top organizations on an in-demand mode, so that they can leverage this talent as a service for building cutting-edge innovative solutions within the organizations actually in real time. On the other hand, at Futurance, we also realized that there is a huge untapped pool beyond the usual suspects that tech companies usually go for. And this is a pool, huge talent pool that is available, who have potential but who do not know or who are kind of stuck in their careers and they don't know how to move forward. And we wanted to create some sort of opportunities for them as well so that they can work in cutting edge technologies. So again, it was in this process that we realized that, to create a scalable talent pool, unless we really expand our funnel, unless we look beyond the usual suspects, we'll never be able to bridge the talent gap. And once we started exploring beyond these usual suspects, we realized that there is a huge talent pool that's already available and as untapped potential throughout the country. And that is exactly why we realized that diversity should be a priority for us. We should look at diverse talent and hire them and embrace them. And then we should be able to mentor and coach them and nurture them so that they can be at par with the best-in-class talent that organizations would like to hire. And unless we are able to tap on this talent, we'll never be able to do justice to the huge talent pool that is already available but is actually untapped. So once we started to hire for potential, we realized that, and we stopped looking at just technology skills alone. We looked at diversity not just in form of gender, but a much larger range of diverse talent pool. So here is what we would consider the 6 kind of categories of diverse talent pool that we would typically look at. The first would be, the people who come from an economically diverse background. So these are really people who have an annual income of, say, below 5 lakhs per annum. And these are kids who did not get an opportunity to get into some of the best tech schools. And as a result, their career was limited or stunted even before they could get started, right? And I remember there was a girl who came and we had been coaching her. She came from a family of a farmer and her father had actually loaned their land and jewelry so that she could get educated. But then she was unable to find the right kind of job and her confidence took a hit at that point of time. And we saw the potential and real hunger in her. And at that point of time, we started training and coaching her. And about 4 or 5 months of training, she was competitive enough to get selected in one of the top tech organizations. And then beyond that, with further coaching, she became one of the leaders over there. And once she was stable in her job, she was able to actually get back the land and the jewelry for her father. And not just this, she sponsored her brother's education and could provide guidance and coaching to her brother as well. So we actually see real upliftment and real progress in this way that we can bring into families by providing them the right kind of opportunities. The second kind of diversity that we look for are actually people from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Now we know that tier 2 and tier 3 cities today are the playgrounds for most of the tech startups, and a lot of the large tech organizations also have started operating out of tier 2, tier 3 cities. The reason why we really feel that this is a huge untapped talent pool is because these are people who want to prove something. They have the hunger to actually achieve something. And yesterday I remember in the talk with Anju Bobby George, she was kind of mentioning how in sports, the best performers actually come from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and because they have the hunger to prove and get more and more. And we see the same across tech talent. So actually within Futurance, we have realized that the best performers that we have had so far, about 70 to 80% of them come from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. The third kind of diversity we look for and we actively seek out for are first generation graduates who are going to colleges for the first time, and honestly, if they are given opportunities to shine, the amount of progress that they can get back to their homes, their families, and sometimes to their entire villages, that is really unimaginable. The fourth level of diversity that we consciously seek for are dependence of low-paying armed forces or, medical and nursing population. And why specifically this population? Because we have realized that these are some of the people who have actually traveled quite a bit, met a lot of diverse kind of people, and they come with this innate sense of leadership within themselves. And when given a challenge to be solved, the kind of perspectives that they bring to the table are really, really unique. The fifth kind of diversity that we would want to work on actively, and we have just started, is the specially abled people, the mentally and the physically especially able people. In my career, actually, I have met with a lot of colleagues who come from a neurodiversity background, and the kind of leadership skills that they bring to the table it's not usually found elsewhere, right? And of course, the other kind of diversity that we talk about is gender diversity, and not just in form of women, right? Also in form of the other kind of gender diversity that we find all across. And we have realized that in a lot of times, the reason why these people are not able to shine is because they lose their confidence. They're not confident enough. And through our training and through our coaching and through our mentoring, if we are able to bring back that confidence in them, they become actually loyal employees, and they are able to sustain and retain, we are able to retain them within organizations for a longer period of time. So it's really important that we just don't look at talent for their potential. Hiring for potential is just one part of the strategy. But the other critical and key part remains how we coach and nurture them throughout the first few years of their career. And this is where, again, a very critical aspect of how we bring in diversity comes across. So, if we look at this, right, once we hire the talent based on their potential, and they are then made, how do we make them the best fit for their job roles and make them competitive? Because unless they are competitive, most of the organizations will not hire them for a long period of time, right, on a long term. So first of all, once we get these people for the trainings, what we do is really conduct diagnostic assessments throughout their training phase on a weekly and sometimes even on a daily basis. And these assessments evaluate varying capabilities in them, which might be their problem-solving capabilities, their solution-building capabilities, their capabilities to actually debug, or their capabilities to work together in teams. And these assessments at some point of time become our leading metrics to help us understand the strengths and improvement areas of each of these candidates. And accordingly, each candidate is then provided remediation or mentoring on soft skills, reinforcement to hone their unique strengths. So that's how we know. So for example, if Durga comes with this innate capability of, looking at diverse set of data and kind of figuring out patterns within them, but she does not know how to communicate or articulate, what the data interprets, then we can provide her with that specific skill so that she becomes a data visualization expert in her job role in future. So now the kind of remediation that I'm talking about, it might look very personalized. So how do we do that at scale? And that's where technology and data plays a huge role. So throughout the trainings, we have realized that if we use robust assessment platforms, which are able to evaluate and pinpoint their current skills through various assessment engines, and then use AI and other data-driven techniques to suggest what more specific remediation and training that they need, then we are able to define which job roles they would really be best fit for. And we also ensure that in every class, every cohort, the kind of mix that we have is of a diverse set of talent. So that, and we have seen firsthand, when a diverse set of team of people are working together on any project, the kind of perspectives that they bring and the kind of problem solving from different angles that they bring together on board, it's quite amazing actually. And so then once the training is done, based on the data points that we collect throughout the training, based on which we realize what job role a talent is best fit for, then we calibrate them to various job roles and job descriptions that are there, that are available within organizations. And this is when we know that, maybe Durga is most suitable for a client-facing job role. On the other hand, Nitya is more suitable for a back-end job role, and somebody else is more suitable on a data visualization job role. And once the talent is deployed, it's really important to ensure that we keep on coaching and mentoring the talent for another, maybe at least the early part of their career, because that's when they build the confidence, and that's when we also get to understand in an actual job scenario and job role, what are the areas in which the candidate is actually shining, and what are the actual improvement areas that the candidates have. So we keep on coaching and mentoring the candidates for at least a year before they become confident and before they become good enough to shine. So honestly, this is an example of a result of this approach of finding somebody who was really from a poor background, and she came to a big city, and she was into a job, but she didn't know how to succeed into the job. And based on the coaching and the continuous mentoring and this job role specific training based on her capabilities, she was able to get employed by a large tech organization and then move into a leadership role. So as you can see, she did get a jump of about 1100% job hike. And that kind of proves that if we kind of keep on targeting the same kind of talent again and again, then we'll never be able to tap the potential that is available in other diverse talent, which we are not targeting at this point. And this is precisely why we believe that diversity is the key to solving the challenge. And a conscious embracing of diversity needs to be at the core of any talent strategy to ensure that we are nurturing the talent in the right manner to, effectively transform our talent landscape. Not just because everybody is not born equal, but also because everybody deserves a good career, right? And most of us have some unique potential which needs to be nurtured and brought to the forefront so that we can play different roles, leadership roles within organizations. And really, unless we, the organizations or the decision makers or the leadership teams are looking at creating opportunities by considering people for their potential and not always going for the finished ready product, we'll never be able to build in true sense inclusivity and diversity, and we'll never be able to bridge the talent gap, and I think we'll not be able to build the right kind of tech solution as well. So there is one final aspect that I also wanted to highlight over here, and in terms of prioritizing inclusivity. So we keep on talking about equity and that everybody should be given a fair chance. But does it really make sense to always extend the same parameters for evaluating talent when we know that everybody does not come from the same context or from the same baseline, right? So I think to truly make a difference in improving diversity and expanding our talent pool, we need to consider providing transformational, or I would say exponential opportunities to those who we feel have potential but did not have a fair chance at proving their potential. And we really as an organization need to push our boundaries of possibilities and bring them to a level where they are able to gain enough confidence and they are able to prove their potential. And we need to hence kind of move away from the mindset of getting into a talent war for absolutely ready talent. And we need to evaluate people based on their potential as well as their attitude and approach, and then provide them the right upskilling, nurturing, mentoring, and training and continuous remediation opportunities to help them to shine. finally, at the end, I would like to talk a little bit about myself, and because I believe that I am one of the primary examples of this approach. I was born and did my entire schooling from a very small town. It's called Durgapur. It's in West Bengal. And I don't think I can even call it a tier 2 city. And when I was in school, people just had two options of building a successful career. One was getting into a top IIT or a top engineering college, or getting into a top medical college. And even the mediocre engineering colleges were regarded as kind of hopeless options. And I, on the other hand, did my graduation and post-graduation. I studied literature, and I learned coding alongside it. And I liked coding only for the sheer logic of it, And I worked several years into publishing before I got into EdTech. But I was really lucky enough to be mentored by some of the most visionary managers and leaders who really saw the potential in me and pushed me to learn things which I would have never considered myself, and really gave me opportunities which I have been able to kind of use, and therefore, because I came from a more multidisciplinary background, I did not study technology as a part of my graduation. Therefore, I really had to push myself a lot more to question and understand what is it that the job roles and the businesses require. I had to observe people a lot more keenly, and that's how I learned. I learned to adapt and, learn quickly. But I think at the end of the day, I cannot really thank my mentors enough who actually took a bet on me. And all I needed to do at that point was to try to live to the best of their expectations. And I have seen the same happen throughout my career. I actually have seen the same happen with a lot of potential talent. When we actually take a bet on them, and once we believe in their potential, when we keep on nurturing them and mentoring them, they are able to shine and become really strong foundation of organizations. And I believe this is the only way we can expand and scale up the talent pool, solve the tech problem, and also build in inclusivity within organizations. So, in conclusion, my final submission to most of the leaders, tech leaders, and hiring managers and organization would be that when you're considering talent, please do consider talent for their potential and expand your horizon to look beyond the top tech school usual suspects. And while hiring, do not use always the same parameters to evaluate the candidates who come from different backgrounds. Hire for potential, but once you believe in them, please do provide them with all the opportunities to nurture them for a long term, and they'll surely be, the best possible leaders that you can think about. So that's all I had to share today. Thank you.